Hi Quilty friends, it's Leanne from Quilt Me Kiwi. I thought there might be some of you are interested in how I load a quilt. So I sort of stick the phone on the tripod and set it up here and we'll see how we go. So I've actually, on the same backing fabric and the same batting, I've already quilted one little quilt and I've got another one. They're two from the same customer. So I'm just utilising the backing fabric that they have given me, and so I've just got the next one on. I don't normally float a quilt top like this. I normally attach it to this other bar here and roll that up, but because they're small, this is how I'm going to do it. And I'll just, I'll pop some pins along here to make sure it doesn't shift, which I normally do anyway, just to kind of make things stay square. So got my Bernina qmatic here, and I'll just take my foot off here. And what I'm going to do is use instead of the very outside edge of the quilt to make sure everything's square, if I can, I'll come into the inside border, and I've got my laser light on. And what I'm doing is I'm just shifting things along a little bit to make sure that that is square. You know, our eye is pretty good at kind of eyeballing it, but I think it's pretty good to try and, do the best that you can at keeping it really square. Some quilts are beyond that because they're just not square. But I do my very best to try and have them square without distorting them. So just running along this, see this blue sashing here, running along the seam of that. Got the laser light on, like I said, and oops, we went right out there. Just kind of shuffling it along where I need to with my fingers to keep it square. Popping pins in. I'm hoping this is the okay angle for you to kind of get an idea of everything. This machine is a little bit harder to attach a camera right up the front here. You wouldn't really be getting a good overall view. So it's looking pretty good. Got my pin cushion there. And just another pin there. So now what I'll do is put the foot back on. Sure that's on properly, and put it in base mode and come back over. And just do another seam a bit further down. And pin on the belly bar, which can be tricky at times. Just making sure it's square again. Could have actually left my foot off. You know, with a camera sticking in your face. You kind of do dark stuff when you're not used to it. What I'll do is I'll just pretend I'm talking to myself like I normally always do anyway. And maybe I'll feel more at ease. sure that's all nice and square. This is so much easier when a quilt has been pieced beautifully and is square. So you can't get that under there. And just one more there. Okay, and we can just baste along the edge. This is a good time for when I'm basting, just to use up my bobbins that have only got a little bit left on them. And I'm just this machine doesn't have a channel lock as such like most other long arm machines, but it's got belts on, which enables the robotics or the computer to do its work. So I've still got those on from the last quilt, so they are acting as a channel lock to keep my vertical and horizontal of the quilt straight. So I know without putting any pressure on the machine, it's going straight. And I'm right up near the base of the previous quilt I did, just to utilise that batting and backing to its fullest. And now we'll just come down this side. And sometimes if the board is a little bit full, I can, with my fingers, I can ease that in a bit. Now what I do is I need to set a safe zone so that the computer knows where it can stitch safely and where it can't. So I need to go to the computer, so I'll just turn you around. And hopefully you can see that. Okay, and I'll just measure this. Okay, so what I need to do is press my little icon for setting the safe zone. So I now need to go back up to the top left corner and place my machine head there. And set. And come back down and you should see the screen starting to change. I'm just moving the machine head along the quilt and then down to the belly bar and up just a teensy bit. Now I'll just flip you again. Okay. I was up that top corner there, and that's the first point of the safe area, and then back down to this area. So I'll just set that and pop you back here. Right, so now I've told the computer that is my safe area. Now I need to put the size of the quilt in, which I have laid sideways. I'm just going on this little icon here. So the width is 54. I'll just double check that. Is it 54? No, it's 55 by 45. So 55 by 45. Click the yellow button, a green button, and if I zoom out, you can see there, but I'll just zoom in a little bit. And I've already bought up, you can see here, quite a few. They're quite sort of simplistic designs, nothing too dense. Since this one swirl out, I won't use. It's too modern and it's probably a little bit too dense. This customer does not want anything too dense. So I also have to be conscious that the quilt is sideways. So I can't really have too much of a directional pattern. I kind of like the idea of the loopy loops, but might kind of look weird going sideways. I think what I will do is do Soho. So I just double click on that and bring it in, and the computer just automatically decides what size it's going to be, but I don't want it that big. I mean, we don't want the quilting dense, but we don't want it ridiculously huge either. So I'm going to go with, I always jot these measurements down, 12.6 by, what was it, 9.95, and I always write down who it's by, Urban Elements, from memory. And so we'll click the green check mark, and then now I'm just going to my little plus sign there, and you watch the screen. There we go, she's adding another one, and another, and another, and another, and let's do another one for good luck. And now I'm going down onto the, I don't know the proper names of all the buttons, the little multiple button there. I'll click that. Now I come to another little screen, and I'm going to add rows in. Now that's too far apart, each row, so I'll just bring that in a little bit, kind of pleasing to the eye and in keeping with the spaces in the loops. I think that will be quite nice. And then basically I've just got to fill up that space, and I've got more than enough, which is good. You always want more than enough because you can trim that off later. In fact, sometimes I get, you know, add an extra row on in case, oh gosh, I've got the quilt measurements wrong and I don't have enough. So green check mark again because we're happy with that, and I'll just go out, and then we'll just move it up a little bit, and that looks, you just move it around a bit, it just automatically joins all the rows as one at this point. And so the dark red line, that's the measurements of the quilt I've put in. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but there's a lighter red line, which is, or rectangle, which is not as big. So that's the safe zone that I've put in. So that I'm happy with that placement. So maybe just a tad there and up. Right, now I'll just click outside there and it goes blue, and then I'm going to File, Save Project. I'll bring up my keyboard and I'm going to just name it the name of the digital design, Soho, save. Oh, and I've already got that. Do you want to replace it? No, so we'll do Soho, let's go Soho, and I'll just say green because there's a lot of green in the quilt. Okay, save, and I'm going to zoom in a bit. Now, can you see, I'm just looking at the screen. Yeah, I think you can. So I've got all these rows. The first row is jumping outside, so that's okay, I'll deal with that shortly. The second row fits within my safe zone. So what I'm going to do is click on that, and it's saying that all the rows are still all joined. So now go over to this little icon, and I'm going to unlink, right, and then I'll come back and click on that second row, Then go to this little button here, and that's going to flip my start to this side. Yeehaw! Okay, and now I'll click back on the first row, and then I am going to, I've got to think, I've gone blank here how I link these together. Oh yes, back to that. And then you've got options, group, attach, or link. So I'm going to go to link, and then click on the second row, and it's now linked to the first row and the second row. Click my green check mark. Yeehaw, and there we go. Now we are going to trim those first two rows. So I go to the scissor icon, and I use my sew head, and I've already got the machine head placed right at the top right corner, and we are going to trim the top. And so I press the set button on the sew head, and now it's trimmed that, it's turned that piece at the very top black. Preview. Yep. Right, and now click back on it, and then back on my scissors, sew head and vertical, and I've got to go invert for the right hand side. And because I'm still at that top point, I can press set again, and now it's turned that part black. Preview. Yep, we like that. Click that. Now make it red again. Red activates it. Scissors and the sew head and vertical. And then what I'm going to do is I'll just flip here around again. As I will take the machine head down here, and I'm looking at the computer screen, and I can see the red on the computer screen. I'm just running it along there. I have to take that pin out. I'll take these other pins out when I'm at it, so I don't run over them when it actually stitches. Now I just like to run the machine head along here where the end of that first lot of stitching is going to be, just to kind of, I don't know, like a triple check, make sure it kind of looks okay. And then I'm at the edge of the quilt, and on the sew head I've got a little button here that says set. I click that, and then if I just turn you around, sorry if you're feeling dizzy, turn you around, bring you in a little bit closer, and then so that's gone black, that bit. So if I press preview there, you see, yes, we're happy with that. Green check mark. So there we are there. We've got that first, essentially, it's going to be treated as one row, but they're two rows essentially linked together and trimmed. That's as far as I go. I don't do any other trimming yet. And then I'm going up to my file again. If I turn that a bit, you'll see a bit better. And then go back to save project. And then I just go put in the word working. So I've got Soho Green working, save. And then I can get rid of my onboard keyboard there. I don't have a keyboard here. I just have it on the computer, which is quite handy. I just have my mouse, and normally my pin cushion lives over here. It's not on my sew head. And one of my friends, when she saw a video once, she thought it was a muffin I had sitting here. No, it's not a muffin, but that would be super handy. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do now is I've actually got to put a bobbin in. So I can do that. And I'll flip you around again, and you can just watch kind of the first bit of stuff, I guess. We're not going to stay here all day watching it. So I'll just get the bobbin out of the machine, because it just had an old, not an old one, but one that only had a little bit on it, and I need to put a full bobbin on there. So I'll just pop that out. Yeah, it's only got a little bit on it, that one. It was alright for basting, you know. I'm actually doing the binding on all of these quilts too. And I'm just using, I'll bring this in front of here, I'm just using my little toa gauge here to check my bobbin tension, so I just have to do that on the table just to make sure that's where I want it. I need a little, tiny little tweak there. And we're happy with that. It's running nice and smooth. I've got a nice full bobbin and I'll pop that in. I'm using glide thread. It's my favourite thread. I love the look of it, and it's not linty. It doesn't make a huge mess of my machine like a lot of the cotton type threads do. So now I've put a new bobbin in, I need to tell the machine that it is a full bobbin. So it's only a rough guesstimate, but it's pretty good. I've got 120 yards. So clip that in. And now we should be good to go. I'll just have a quick think, make sure I haven't missed anything with jabbering away to the computer, or you guys. And what I'll do is I'm going to take you there again. And what I'll do, oops, it's not the greatest of angles, is it? Sorry, there's a bit of light there, is I will got play. So it's red, I've activated it, the first 2 rows, or the first 1 row, because they're linked. And everything's trimmed, everything's ready. I've got a full bobbin in, I've checked the tension. And so now I'm going to press play. And it says there are designs outside the safe area. DQ and proceed. Yes, because I'm only concentrating on that first lot first. Not worrying about anything else, because it wouldn't stitch them because they're not trimmed into within the safe zone. So now I've got the option of at start point or at the closest point on the design. Well, I'm going to start. So I'll click that. It takes a little while. You've got your little, some people call it the wheel of death. And I'll just swing you around again. And there we are. It's moving by itself to the start point, but I've got to go up there and pull the bobbin. Bring the bobbin up. So we don't want a big bird's nest there. And when I do that, I just give my bobbin a little check, make sure it feels nice and smooth. And I hold the bobbin thread and the top thread, and I've got another one of those little green boxes with a tick in it. So I'm going to tick that, and it's off to the races. Started, and just have a little peek underneath that the tension's okay. Everything's looking good there, beautiful. And just a little underneath, looks good, sounds good. The colour thread I've got in is by Glide, and it's called Light Olive. I'll just take you back to the computer screen again, and you can see a lot of crosshairs moving there, so that indicates the sew head. Okay, it's my nice view out here. I've got an Australian frangipani tree outside that's flowering at the moment because it's spring here in New Zealand, and most days it's a hive of activity with tuis. The tuis are a New Zealand native bird. They're absolutely gorgeous, and they love the little, I guess it's the nectar, because the top of their head gets all yellow from the pollen. Nectar? Pollen? Yeah. And then there's a red bottle brush over the back. They love those too. And there's another one here. We've also got a lovely red rose in the corner there. Not as many flowers on it this year because I suspect our local parrot, a rosella, has been eating the buds. Absolutely gorgeous bird, but not too happy about it doing that. Anyway, back to quilting. So here's the machine. And I'll try not to dizzy you around. So it's just starting. You can see the bottom of the previous quilt on the same backing fabric. See? This design stitches out really nicely, and it won't take forever either. You know, most of my customers don't want really dense quilting. It seems to be quite fashionable at the moment, but my customers don't particularly like it. And I have to be honest, I'm going to be really honest here, I'm quite glad, because it takes a long time. Those dense designs take a long time to stitch out. And while I've got a computer stitching this out for me, I don't just head to town and have a coffee with my friends. I do have to hang around, and I've got to listen. And when it gets to the end of a row, like when it gets to the end of these first two rows, this green section, it's now green because it's stitching, I then have to roll the quilt up a bit more. I have to reset a new safe zone, and then I need to set up the next row. I may or may not fit 2 rows in again this time. I probably won't. It will be just one, and so then they will need to be trimmed either side. And so that's kind of the process, and we work our way through that. So you can imagine a big quilt, like I'll pan back here, you can imagine a big quilt that fills this whole 12-inch frame would take a really long time, and it does. Yeah, so yeah, again, I'm happy that the majority of my customers don't like really dense quilting. You know, I just, yeah, so anyway, I thought you might enjoy seeing the process of how it kind of works. I know for 6.5 years I used to do quilting for other people on my domestic machine, and people would say to me, why don't you get one of those long arm machines? And I kind of thought, I don't even really know what they are, and why do I want one of those? What I'm doing is working fine, and it was. And then one day I stumbled upon a YouTube video of a woman using a long arm machine and quilting a baby's quilt. And it wasn't computerized. She had a laser at the back of the machine and a paper pantograph pattern that ran down that back table of the machine, and you would stand at the back of the machine and hold the handles and follow the pattern, much like with a pen. But yeah, and so I saw that and I couldn't believe it. The biggest thing was she wasn't pinning the 3 layers of the quilt together. It was like such a light bulb moment for me. And so from there, my husband and I, we went on the search for a long arm machine, and the rest is history, really. Started out with a hand guided long arm machine, a Gamel, and then a few years into that we retrofitted it with a computer system, robotics, which has been great, because it just means that I'm not holding on to the machine all the time, guiding the machine to do all the quilting. I can actually have a little break, and like at the moment, if I wasn't doing this video, I would be sitting at my domestic machine putting binding on another quilt, or invoicing, or getting the next quilt ready for when this one's finished. So it's utilised my time a little bit better. It's probably helped my body out a little bit. It has been really great. It's been a real learning curve. I won't lie about that. There's been some tears. It hasn't been push a button and walk away at all, and that's probably what I originally thought before I really knew anything about computerized quilting. I thought that's what they did. The ladies that had the computerized machines, the ladies and gentlemen, I should say. But it's not like that at all. So that's a bit of a myth. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this short little video. Just a little, if you ever wondered what it was like, today is a little bit different to what I normally do. As I say, I don't normally have the quilt hanging like that. It's normally on another roller, this roller here, but just because they're small and I'm doing two at once, it was just kind of quick and easy like this. But every quilter has a slightly different process, but the end result's pretty much the same. Yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and hope to talk to you again. Take care. Bye.